In Australia, you can claim 5 points from the Department of Home Affairs for the Australian study requirement. The next one is the regional study in Australia. So if you have studied in the regional state of Australia and you stayed in the regional state while studying, you can claim 5 points from the Department of Home Affairs in the regional study category. The next one is the level of English. So depending on the point score that you get in the IELTS or equivalent English test, you can claim 10 points to 20 points, depending on the score that you get in the English test. The next one is the marital status. So if you're single, you get 10 points as per the current rules. And if you are married, you can claim 10 points from your partner as well. But partner has to do number one, an English test and have to get score of minimum 6 bands in each module so that they can give you 5 points. And or if they have a skills assessment that is also in the same occupation list as your skills assessment, then you can claim another 5 points. So in total, you can claim 10 points from your partner. Now for work experience for overseas and Australia, also you can claim different points from the Department of Home Affairs. So if you have 1 year of experience, so basically if you do a job ready program in Australia as a motor mechanic, you will have 1 year of experience and you can claim 5 points for your job ready program. If you have more than 3 years, you can claim 10 points. For 5 years, you can claim 15 points, and for 8 years, you can claim 20 points. Similarly, there is different points category for overseas experience as well. Now, it is to be noted that for the work experience points to be provided to the Department of Home Affairs, you must have relevant qualification and your experience must be after the completion of that qualification. In the case of motor mechanic, the minimum criteria is certificate 3 in motor mechanic. You can also get 5 points if you clear an RTCCL exam, which is basically a translation exam. So if you pass that exam, you can claim 5 points for that as well. The next one is the general idea of the 189 subclass skilled independent visa. So it is a direct permanent residency visa. As I said, it is a points-based system and you must have minimum 65 points. It is one of the most competitive way to get PR because 189 visa, basically anyone can apply. It doesn't matter if the person is in Australia or outside Australia. They can apply as long as they meet the minimum requirement of having a skills assessment, 65 points and an IELTS score. Also, quarterly invitation round are being conducted by the Department of Home Affairs in the 189 category, but we might see a bit of changes in how the invitations round are conducted in the next financial year. The second one is the skilled nominated visa in the subclass 190 category. Again, this is a permanent visa pathway as well. It is the most appropriate way to get a PR if you are in Australia and if you are living in a state and working in a state that is inviting in your occupation, then it is the most easy way to get the permanent residency. It's also points test visa where you will have to get minimum 60 points on your own and 5 points will be provided by the state where you are applying the 190. Now, every state and territories has a different criteria depending on what occupation you have the skills assessment in and how much experience you have in the past. Based on that, you can check your eligibility with your state that you are residing in. The next one is the skilled regional provisional visa, which is the subclass 491 visa. As I said, that it's a 5 years visa and the condition is you must stay and work only in the regional area. So it is a state nominated provisional residency visa and you will get Medicare benefits as well with this one. Now, once you complete your 3 years of residency in regional area and work experience of 3 years in the regional area, you can apply for 191, which is a permanent visa. Now, previously, the department had a minimum taxable income of 53,900, which had to be shown every year. But this has been recently announced by the department that the minimum TSMIT has been removed for the 491 visa. So if you're just staying in the regional area and working in the regional area, but not earning 53,900, you can still apply for permanent residency after 3 years of stay in regional. The next one is the 491 family stream. As I said before, for the 491 in the family stream category, you must have a eligible relative. Now, eligible relative can be anyone from your first cousin or aunt or your own siblings, and they must also be living in the designated regional area at the time you are invited by the Department of Home Affairs, and your occupation must be in the MLT SSL list for you to apply in the 491 family sponsored stream. And you will have to do minimum 50 points on your own to meet the minimum eligibility, and 15 points will be provided by the family members who are living in the regional area of Australia. Now, employer sponsor visa, this is also a very good category to get your permanent residency sorted. So the basic requirement is you must have an eligible sponsor. By eligible sponsor, I mean there must be an Australian organization where you are working as a motor mechanic, and they must be happy to sponsor you. So the requirement for the sponsor is they must be actively and lawfully operating the business in Australia, and they must comply with the sponsorship obligations, and you must work with the same employer while holding this visa. So in the employer-sponsored visa, there is three main visa categories that we will look for today. Number one is the 482, which is the temporary skill shortage visa, which we call TSS visa. The requirement here is you must have minimum 2 years of full-time equivalent work experience as a motor mechanic. Skills assessment is not mandatory except trade qualification. So if you have done Australian qualification of certificate 3 or above in the motor mechanic category, you will get the exemption for the skills assessment. Now you will work with the employer for minimum 3 years and apply for 186 in the TRT category. So if you get 482 visa for 4 years, you work with the same employer for 3 years, and after 3 years, they can apply, they can again sponsor you for 186 in the TRT category. But we have heard from the Department of Home Affairs that they are looking to change the requirements for the 186 TRT category, and they might be bringing it down to 2 years from 3 years. We will get the confirmation about this after the 1st of July. The second visa category is the 186 visa, which is the employer nomination scheme. Now, this is a permanent visa, and the requirement is you must have minimum 3 years of full-time work experience in the occupation of motor mechanic after the qualification of certificate 3. Here, skills assessment is mandatory because you are applying for a permanent residency visa and it's a direct PR. The Department of Home Affairs expect you to have a skills assessment in the occupation of motor mechanic. Now, again, it's an employer sponsor visa, so an employer must be happy to sponsor you for this visa. The third one is the 494 visa category, which is skilled employer sponsored regional visa. Here also the minimum requirement is you must have 3 years of work experience. You must have a skills assessment in your occupation, and you must work with your employer after getting sponsored for 3 years. And after 3 years, you can apply for 191 visa, which is a permanent residency visa. If you have any questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer your questions. And please do leave a review at the end of our session.
Right, so I think we have a few questions here. So
Yep.
first, SL is here. It's about the education. So what is duration of certificate 3 in electrical vehicles, fees and prerequisites? Hi Faisal, thank you for your question. So for the duration of certificate 3 electrical vehicle, it will be 52 weeks, and in different colleges there are more than 52 weeks. So minimum duration will be 52 weeks. But if you would have completed something in light vehicle or heavy vehicle, and if you want to go ahead with electrical extra certificate, then you can just go ahead with the minimum duration such as 3 to 6 months and get your extra skill assessment with that. So fee structures depends on the duration. The minimum fee structure for 52 weeks will be around 13 to 14,000, depends which college and which regional we are going forward. And the prerequisites will be the same, like year 12 minimum, and then we need overall 5.5 band, not less than 5. Let's go ahead with next question. I think it's for you, Abhi. Atit Goswami is there.
Yeah. So what are the courses for 482 subclass and for 482 visa, which courses and experience are eligible. Okay, so 482 is the employer sponsor visa, wherein you can get the exemption for skills assessment if you've done certificate 3 or above in the category of motor mechanic. So you can do certificate 3 and that will be considered valid for the 482 visa. The minimum experience requirement for 482 temporary skill shortage visa is 2 years of full-time experience or equivalent part-time. So what that means, if you have worked 1 year on a part-time working minimum 20 hours per week, you can still claim that experience, but that will be considered as 6 months full-time. And you must have minimum 2 years of full-time experience to be eligible to apply for 482 visa. Okay, and we've got one next question from Muqsadul. I already completed certificate 3, which was 75 weeks, and also did certificate 3, which was this, and applied for JRPA. Perfect, but did not apply for 485 yet. If my JR becomes so, do I need PSS to apply for 5? I want to discuss any case. Okay, so Muqsadul, to apply for a 485 visa, you need a JRPE, our JRPE after the 1st of July. So if you apply TR right now before the 1st of July, you don't need to show the JRPE. But after 1st of July, if you apply for the 485 visa, you need to show that you applied for the job ready program stage 1. And they have removed the requirement for 360 hours of work experience. So you don't need to show 360 hours of work experience to apply for TR. You just need to apply for step 1 based on your identity documents and qualification documents that you received from your college. Priti, I think the next one is for you. Any colleges in Sydney?
Hi, Faisal. There is plenty of colleges available in Sydney, but depends what kind of a certificate course and what particular visa you're looking for. For example, if you're in a student visa, it will be definitely for 52 weeks. And there's plenty of colleges available. So you can just contact us and then we can help you out with that according to your requirement. I think Goswami, what about certificate 3 in graphic and printing? There will be a colleges available, but again, which city you are in available. For example, Melbourne, Sydney, all colleges has their own prerequisites and own duration and fee structures. You can just go to your nearest Aussizz branch and we can just happy to help you out with your admission process.
I think that's all the questions we had for today.
Thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions related to automotive courses or PR pathways, please drop in the inbox so that we can just help you out.
Thank you everyone for attending the conclave on the topic of motor mechanic, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.